time of the week. Then again, sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the wind biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Cars PWA, we're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Greetings, everybody. Hello, Ben. Hello, Alfie in the background.
Bonjour. Yes. I'm not sure how this podcast's going to go because everything else I'm touching at the moment turns to absolute disaster. Honestly, I've got some stories. So just to give you an idea for people who don't know, I'm here in France at the Defi Wind 2024. And yeah, there's no wind. This is the first day today. The forecast looks terrible, but they have had wind the last few days. So there's been people on the water. They've done the Defi Wind. We won't be talking too much about that, but those guys actually had quite a bit of wind, which is quite annoying. And I guess they're going to do the Defi Kite. Is that before or after? Maybe they've already done it. No.
So how does it work, Ben? He says what the event's now split into three categories, is it? Or?
It's carnage out there. I can tell you that much. There's people absolutely everywhere. So it's like I said, we're going to do like a little quick podcast because the idea was just for people who are watching. The idea was to do a live walk around, and have you guys kind of pull base there, and I'd be doing a live walk around. And you guys could ask questions, and I'd try and. But we've had a problem with their local French Orange network. It doesn't like my phone for some reason. So I'm still trying to do that. We will be still trying to do that, but it hasn't worked out. We filmed some stuff yesterday because yesterday was a windy day, but it was the day before the actual event starts. And because the forecast looked so bad, they kind of did a practice race, which they usually do anyway. But a lot more people entered this practice race because that could be the only bit of footage from the windsurfing we might see, which is disappointing, but it meant there was a race, and that was pretty hectic. Like I was on a 5.5. A lot of people. Maybe I think to give you an idea of like the guys that were doing well, Tati Franz I think won the fin on a 6 meter and a 96, I guess low 60s wide board, so like a 96 litre slalom board, 97 litre slalom board. Jordi Vonk and him were racing all the way with the fins, but the guy who won it was Nico Goya on the foil by a country mile. He was absolutely flying. Amado Vrieswijk was right up there, and I think Johan So as well. Again, I wasn't near the front of the fleet, so it's not so easy to say, and there's no official results. So I know that was kind of how they got to the first mark because I saw them coming back at me as I was going the other way, which was quite interesting.
So I've never been to the Defi Wind, and I'm assuming quite a few of the listeners here haven't either. Yeah. But how does it work, Benny? That's obviously just a bit of a training, like a bit of a tester, is it?
So the way it totally worked normally is like today's the first day, so the opening ceremony is in an hour's time. Basically every man and his dog who's never been to a Defi Wind before goes there, and there's a big briefing, big video screen. Everything gets explained, exactly how the course works, how the timing works, and that would be kind of it. And at the end of that briefing, usually if the Tramontana, which is the main wind here, which is like an offshore wind, is blowing, which it has literally been blowing for a month solid. If you've seen all the speed competitions, they were all held in this area. It's been so windy, and it's been windy all this week, and then typically as soon as this event starts, it drops. But ideally at the end of that briefing, they would then start the clock, which is an hour countdown until the first start. So on the big screen, there's like a big countdown, and then this hour counting down clock is go. So you can set your watch an hour before the start, and then it's just like, even though you think you're calm and everything's ready, you're like, oh my God, I've got to get everything ready. Is the wind dropping? Is it picking up? Is it going to, so then everyone's testing around. And then at the, as that countdown goes down, everyone goes out to the start. There's like 1,500 windsurfers registered for this event. It's
crazy.
hard to even imagine. Like, I'll tell you like in a minute. But so then you're getting ready for this start, but it's not a normal start line. It's a big boat on one end, and the other end there is a buoy. But you cannot start before there's a rib, which is the guy who's the organizer of the event, Philip Brew, basically drives on the zero from that buoy to the boat at full speed. And it's called a rabbit start. So it draws, well, it's a gate start if you want to call it. It kind of draws this gate. So as he goes past, you can go behind him. If you mistime it, it's not ideal. So you can imagine if you go early, he doesn't really budge. It's quite scary. And then if you miss the start or you're a bit further back, you've got to remember 1,500 windsurfers. You can imagine the dirty air and it's crazy. So all the good guys start at the bottom because they're fast. And then as you're not so fast, you might start further up because there's less competition for starting, but you'll be on the front row. So there's a bit of tactics in it. And then it's a 10-kilometer race. Like, so one reaches 10 kilometers, then 10 kilometers back, then 10 kilometers back again, and then 10 kilometers. It's a 40-kilometer race.
Wow. It's intense, isn't it?
It's well, we're making videos at the moment. I'll go into that in a minute because we've had an absolute disaster with things not working and stuff. So, but basically, like, we make all these videos about, the Defi Wind being so fun and it's saying, but as I said yesterday, it's more just like this achievement that, it's not that fun. It's hard. It's really hard work. Like to go, especially if you're a smaller guy or you've got to beat people or, you're really pushing, to push for 40 kilometers is so difficult on the body when you're not used to it. Yes, you've got the Peterway pros, they're down the gym, they're training, it's like, don't judge yourself off these guys. I can't even get close to these guys. They are just like, I can push for 200 meters, 400 meters, like pushing properly to go as fast as I can. But my relaxed speed is so much slower than them. Like Nico Dean, honestly, Nico, he went past me because I had a better start than him, but I wasn't going at full speed. He hit at full speed. He literally went past me like I was standing.
Really? What board were you using?
Well, okay, there is a bit of a story to that because it's ridiculous. I've had an absolute mare. So bearing in mind, I'm obviously living in Portugal now. 16 hours it takes me to drive up to France. Quite a long trip. And I kind of even said to my girlfriend before we left, I'm like, my partner, I should say. I said, look, there's probably something going to go wrong with the van because it's not done a long trip for a long time. It's been sat around in Portugal doing little short trips. It's probably, and she's like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm like, yeah, it probably will, but I should leave a bit earlier. Anyway, I left a little bit earlier. 6 hours into the trip, battery light starts flashing. Actually, like, what? I'm driving. I'm like, oh no, that could be the alternate. Could be. It's like, oh, whatever. It went out after like 10 minutes. I was thinking, thank goodness for that, because that goes, I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere with my amazing grasp of the foreign languages. I'd be in a bit of trouble. Anyway, that went out. Didn't think anything of it. I'm a couple of hours later, so it's like 8 hours into the trip. I pull over to get some fuel, just about to turn the engine off, and I hear this. I'm like, that doesn't sound good. So I sort of get out, and the guy's there filling the fuel. I said, trying to communicate. And he's like, no, it's good, it's fine. I'm like, that didn't sound good. Anyway, long story short, sounded terrible. I sent a video to a mechanic back in Sagres. He's like, wow, I told him about the battery light. Or my girlfriend did anyway, because I don't speak Portuguese either. And she's like, yeah, you've got to get that sorted because it's probably the belt to the alternator. And when that goes, you'll have no power and then you'll be stuck wherever it goes if it comes off. You might make it, you might not. Anyway, go to a local garage. She rung this local garage. We found out. He's like, yeah, we can do it. I'm thinking, oh, brilliant. I get there. Obviously, he doesn't speak any English. Why should he? He's Spanish. That's fine. And I don't speak any Spanish, so I'm communicating. Got no other choice, so I'm not even going to ask him the price. What's the point? He's got to fix it. He can fix it. I'm like, okay, fine. They start working on it. 4 hours or 3 hours into it, you know, I'm like, oh, this is looking good. Yeah, everything's good, you know, sign the angle roof on. It sounds like they're going to fix it that day. I'm like, oh, it's just a belt. Yeah, okay. And gets the belts off. And then they just go, right, we got to go. We'll be back at 5 or whatever it was. So I'm 5 years, like siesta, like everything shut. There's no like, I would have paid them more money, but no, they are going for the siesta. Anyway, they all bugger off, come back, start working on the van again. And then like an hour later, he starts to ring up and ask me for the details of the van so he could find out about these fan belts, you know, whatever the belts are. He could have done this 4 or 5 hours ago. And then he comes to me and goes, oh, no, they can't get them here today. You know, you got to wait for tomorrow. So they have to stay in the van on this wonky hill. I'm rolling out the bed. Anyway, long story short, they fixed the van the next day. He charges me 600 euros, 594 euros to change the bloody alternator belt, which the belt cost like 30 euros. I looked online before he told me because I just wanted to have an idea. I wanted to give him a tip for doing it. Because it might have been the case, like anywhere in Portugal, it's hardly you'd get in to get it done. So I was quite happy. But I was like, I'm not tipping 600 euros to change the bloody belt. It took 2 of them. I mean, they took a while to get the stuff doing it. But is that not anyway? Anyway, so all this time, I'm meant to be picking Alfie up, our cameraman, editor.
Hey, there he is, the true hero.
Airport. So he's there going, are you going to make it? I'm like, dude, I'm not going to make it. So I put out a little thing on Instagram saying, oh, can someone, and I had quite a few responses. So thanks to everyone out there who like sort of said like they could help out and pick him up. He then chose to ignore all of those and go with Maciek Rakowski.
Oh, okay.
You'd think that'd be a solid, you know, choice. So he comes in at Perpignan Airport. He takes the train to Narbonne, which is basically Gruson. You're nearly there. You know, and then Maciek was going to pick him up because he was on his way down. Anyway, Maciek picks him up, goes, do you want me to drop you off or do you want to come? I've got to go to the Cat windsurfing shop. I've got to pick up some sails. And Alfie's like, oh, yeah, well, you know, I'll come with you. So they drive back towards Perpignan because Le Cat is on the way back to Perpignan. And then they're chatting away. Obviously, haven't seen each other for a while. They're chatting. And then it's like, oh, shit, misses the turning. It's like, oh, shit, missed the turn. No problem. We just turn around the next one. It's 20K to the next one, which is Perpignan. So Alfie ended up getting the train to bloody Narbonne, and then Maciek had pretty much drove him all the way back to Perpignan before they could turn around to come back to the Cat. Anyway, so Alfie didn't actually get to the apartment where we're in now, not that long before me, because then I obviously drove no problems.
Alfie's done a round the world trip to get there.
Yes, exactly.
And you're not looking for beer money anymore. You're looking for belt money, alternator belt money.
So that was like the start of it. So you're thinking, okay, yeah, it's going to get better from here. You know, bear in mind, there's no wind forecast for the event. I knew that, but I brought all my stuff thinking, but I wasn't totally concentrated on what I needed to put in. So I put in most of the stuff. And as I open the back of the van, like yesterday when it was windy, I'm looking at all these boards. Bearing in mind, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got like 7 boards. The one board which I use every Defi and is my go-to board for windy slalom, I didn't even put it in the van.
Not there. How did you forget that, Benny?
No, I honestly think I'm losing it. I've totally lost it. So yes. So that's it. So yeah, I had a board.
Well, the board that you did bring, like the one that you got smashed by Nico on, how much slower was that than the board you would have brought?
But it was like I basically had a choice. I went out for the practice. We're making a video, so you're probably going to see it if we can. Anyway, there's another story here. But like I had a 55 wide, like sort of speed board. But it's, as I spoke to a few people yesterday, like, oh yeah, that board. It's like a light wind speed board. So I was like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, so it's like a speed board, but it's not meant for like windy stuff. It's meant for big sail, like 7.0 speed conditions, like GPS type board, flat conditions. So I took that out, but it just is not comfortable in those type of Defi, lots of water moving around, people everywhere. So I was like, oh man. So that other board would have been perfect. It's like 32 fin, 60 whatever wide. It's like 96 liters. It's the slalom board which you would use with 5.5, 6.0, that type of 6.5 type board. It's my go-to. And then the next board I have from that is the Monster 106, which is 70 wide. So it's like 55 wide to 70 wide. And I'm asking people, like, there's Tatty there, there's Matteo, and I'm like, you think the 70 wide is too big? And then, like, you know, Patrick's like, yo, yeah, you're going to be great on that. But so just before the start, I'm like, do I take the speed board, which is not comfortable, or do I take the Monster, which is more comfortable? Maybe it's going to drop. Anyway, I took the Monster, which was a good choice because it actually did drop a little bit. And there was moments of, it was easier to sail, much easier to sail. It's got lift on the board and whatever. But yeah, it wasn't ideal. I'm not saying that's the reason I was slow.
Well, I think you are saying that, but
okay, yeah, maybe a little bit. I am slow. Like, I'm going to put it out there. Like, with my leg length, I am slow over long distance. It's. I don't know that. Okay, so maybe people out there can relate. So, for me to go fast, I have to push as hard as physically possible. I need to be on the edge of everything to even be competitive. And even then, I'm not as fast as the top boys for sure. But if I am in cruise mode, I am friggin' dog slow. So the Defi Wind is like my ultimate punishment. It's just, and it's like, it's slightly upwind. Like, it feels like you're going upwind slightly the whole time. And again, when you're a lighter rider, that's like your slowest point of sailing. So, you know, like Luderitz and stuff like this, it's brought off the wind and you can kind of get speed. But when it's slightly tight, you need that leverage. You need the sort of, to be able to drive the board. Anyway, it's a hard race. It's a hard race if you want to race.
So what did you end up coming?
I don't know, because it's a practice race. There's no, it wasn't like when you feel you're doing bad, like you just look behind you and you're like, oh my God, there is so many people behind me. So, you know, it's not that you're doing bad. And usually I'm always kind of front row in the start. I always do okay at getting off the start. But then because of that, I'm not the fastest. So then you just get demoralized the whole race, because there's every so often it's like, zoom. You know, there's someone who's had a bad start who's so quick and that, like, how are you so far behind me until now? You know, it's like you're so fast. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And how long does it take you?
Go on.
Yeah, sorry. Oh no, I was going to say, how long does it take you to do the 40 kilometers?
Alfie, how long does it take to do the race? Yeah, it was a short. The practice race was like half the distance.
An hour. Well, that's quick.
So it's like it's only 5K, 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 5K. The real race,
it's like 5K.
For the practice race.
Okay.
I mean, the practice race, you've got to remember, we were saying this before. It's pretty mad because, you know, for the big event, you will register today. Everyone's got tallies and tags, and you have to bleep yourself in, bleep yourself out. It's all fully automated. The practice race is like, yeah, just go for it.
So how long's the Defi Wind been going for?
That is a good question.
Yeah,
20 plus years, Alfie says.
Yeah, okay. And each year, does it just get more and more sophisticated with the organization and everything? I mean, is there
this year looks really good. Like I said, we're going to go, you know, for people who are tuning in now, let me know in the comments what you want to see from us. We've got basically 4 days of no wind now, but we have lots of equipment, obviously down the beach. We're going to go through definitely the guys who support the channel. We're going to go to their stands. I'm not sure about the others yet. Let me know in the comments. But we're going to go through some vans, because there's loads of vans here, loads of cool vans. So I think we're going to do some van tours, and from the normal guys as well, not just the pro guys, because the pro guys have just got shitloads of gear. It's actually some of the interesting vans are the guys, you know, that have just turned up on their own, and that's what they do. Their van is their like life sort of thing, you know. And I think they're more sort of useful to see how they designed those. There's a lot of camper vans here. There's a lot of people turning up in freaking like motorhomes. I saw Marotti rented some motorhome. There's quite a few of them in proper big motorhomes. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you want to see.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of people here mentioning or van tour, Waggy Wag stuff. So I was thinking, does Simmer have a stand?
No. The actual Simmer boys are coming down, I think. Well, I know. I am a bit hungover, I won't lie. We had a few beers last night with the We Won boys.
A few?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
How many
I was
beers?
bed early, but we were drinking early because we didn't have any food. So, like, that doesn't make sense.
What, early in the morning?
Early in the afternoon.
Like 6 a.m. or?
After the race, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It just sounds
How's
like
the Bob's up?
and yeah,
You're
if
all
you
over the
are
shop,
in
mate.
the
You haven't got
Defi
your right
Wind,
board. You're hung up.
what I was going to say. So yeah, we get it. So and then just to top it off, when you're watching the video from the Defi, just bear these things in mind. My waterproof mic, which has not let me down for I don't know how long, suddenly it won't connect and we can't get the information off it. The mics that we put on the camera on the phone, you know, the wireless Go mics, they didn't pair with the phone, so now we've got the phone audio. So we're having an absolute mare. There's other things that went wrong as well, but yeah, and you know, there's no actual Defi Wind in the Defi, so it's just the practice race from yesterday, which is still kind of fun. There's still quite a lot of stuff that was been going on, but yeah, it's having a nightmare. Now I've got a massive headache.
Damn, Benny.
Are you feeling for me?
You look after yourself, mate. Bob's asking, how did the body fare? Did the Liberty harness help?
Well, okay, interesting that, because it wasn't a full race, but I started to feel like, anyone who's done it, if you're watching audio, this muscle here in your back, I started to feel like, but that muscle was nowhere near what it was when I just used the waist harness and it came up. So the Liberty harness, when I first went out, I didn't like it. It was too low and I felt like I was in a seat harness and I wasn't feeling it, and I was kind of nearly swapping for my waist harness. And that was on the speed board because I wasn't getting much lift. And then actually, as the session went on, it slipped up a bit and I could feel the bottom underneath my middle of my arse, which felt like it was a bit high, but actually that felt perfect and it stayed down. And actually, I think it's good. So I'm like, okay, I've got to wear it higher than I think. Because
you got to wear it like a G-banger.
Got to wear it like a waist harness, which feels weird because then the butt thing is in the middle of the butt. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone who's seen the harness or got the harness, but it definitely made sense for me when it was like higher up.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I would say that my foot was absolutely killing where I've got my screw. I've got like half a screw in my foot from a injury wave sailing, and Jesus Christ, the foot on the rail. Wow, that's pretty painful. Like, you need to train, like, to do this event. Like, people saw I did a few videos at home, free riding, but they were like 20-minute sessions, you know, cruising. It's just so not comparable. I mean, I had 2 or 3 sessions and then we didn't have any wins. So it's not like I actually trained for this event. But if we'd have had, let's say, 3 days of wind now, 4 days of wind, no way I'd make it. I think I'd be in pieces. I would be a broken man.
It's a pretty hardcore event, isn't it? And you can see how, you know, if you look at the social media of the World Cup slalom sailors, they're spending half the time in the gym, and you can see why.
You've got to be so locked, and so you've got to go down the gym. It's like it's just the amount you've got to tense up and press just for so long, or you have to be, you know, one of those riders. A bigger rider, I would say, is usually the way to go, just because you've got this cruising speed which is already fast, and then you use these moments where you're feeling good to push, and then you can relax and push. That's the problem. When you're small, you see it. You can just see the guys that are small. They're good when they're pushing, and as soon as they relax, the guys go past. Because I am like, this is so funny. I am like this target. I've got a yellow sail, I've got a camera, and everyone knows it's me, and it's Ben Prophet. So it's like, I've got this. As soon as I'm in front,
I just want to beat you.
Yeah, as soon as I'm in front of someone, they're like, oh, you can feel them. I look on the camera, and you see these guys that are way above me, like upwind, and then I can see them just going, yeah, because they want to go past me, and then they do whatever they do. But it's like, it's quite funny, really.
Do you get sailors that are sort of trying to sail around you just to get on camera?
Well, I had a couple of actually yesterday. I don't know if they were trying to get on camera, but they were super close. It was fun. It's actually fun racing. Honestly, after one race, it's really hard to kind of, you know, I think people think I put on this act like, I am honestly on the edge of fighting because I'm not very fit at the moment, you know, and And don't get me wrong, I'm sailing a lot. I've been to South Africa, I've been wave sailing. You know, I kind of get out when it's windy. So, you know, I would say compared to normal people, I would say I'm more sailing fit, or I should be. This is just on a new level. Like it's so intense.
Yeah, well, it's like a marathon.
Yeah. It's and again, it's like you can't overemphasize how much it's not actually that fun doing the race. It's sort of fun, but it's more just like you say, like a marathon where you're just pushing yourself, and then you finish, and then it's like the stories afterwards and the beach chat, and you know, all those sort of stories from the battle, so to speak, is the interesting bit. The race itself, when you're doing it, it's just it's horrible. I don't know if anyone's been to the Defi. Let me know in the comments if that's your experience. Maybe not, but it's something you've got to do. Like I genuinely believe you've got to do it, experience it, come and try and finish a race. You know, for some people, you know, and then obviously other people are quick, or if you think you're quick, you know, that does help. But you've got to get a good start. You've got to do certain things. You know, I'm a good jiber. I cannot jibe in the Defi. It's horrible. There is so much water everywhere. There's people everywhere. Like I was coming into the first jibe mark yesterday, and you're on this broad reach because you've gone high to try and get the flat water, because it's like you're racing next to the beach. There's sandbars and stuff like this. It's so hectic. And so you're racing down, and that's the bit where I catch up the most, because my theory is I'm not that quick on the straight. But then as they come into the jibe, everyone kind of backs off a bit to try and get the jibe. So I just go, and then that can catch you up so much from the guys that actually just torched you. And you can see them as well in the jibe. But yesterday I was coming into the first jibe, and there's a foil downwind of me, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm scared of foils. They just scare me. So I wasn't sure what they were doing. Then I was like 3 eyes there, 2 eyes. I needed 8 eyes like a spider. Like it was just carnage. And then
that's a good point, actually. With mixture of foils and fins, it must be. I mean, is there any accidents or what? Is it much? What's going on there?
It's just a big accident. The whole jibe mark is just a big accident.
But I mean, just if someone just falls off on the course,
in fact,
and you've got 1,000 people behind you.
I should show you some footage, but I'm not sure. It might just crash the.
No, if you. Yeah, no, I'd be keen to see
that.
Just while you're doing that, there's a few people in the comments. There's a few people in the comments saying that they'll try and catch up with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Bless you over the next few days, Benny, and to show you their vans.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm super keen to, you know, maybe we'll film a lot of van stuff and we'll drip feed it out over the channel, because I think vans is such a big thing. Right, I'm gonna try. If anyone's listening audio only, I apologize, but I'm gonna try and just put some video on. It might work. It might just crash because it's 8K on that new Insta360 camera. It's quite, you know, heavy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it might not. Is that working? No. Is it?
It's loading.
No, it's not. Okay, it won't do
it. It's blank.
Yeah,
screen.
No, it won't do it. Okay, I wasn't sure if it would.
Too much.
No, it won't do it. It won't share it. Unfortunately, you have to wait for the video. But like I said, don't get your hopes up for the video. It's been a fucking disaster. Oh God.
It'd be cool to see whatever you got there, mate. Just an unrelated matter. I was actually going to mention this a few podcasts ago, but how do I pronounce that first name, Ben? Yeah, Tajesh. Sorry, apologies.
You are
for
asking
not
me
pronouncing names very well, but I thought you might know this guy. But he's a regular. Tadesh, sorry, mate. I've got no idea if I'm pronouncing it correct, but I was going to say, anyone who's listening who wants to support Windsurfing.TV is, do hit that like button where you can on videos and whatever, because the more likes you hit, the algorithms will spread it further and farther out there into the internet, which obviously helps promote windsurfing. So if you can do that, that is very helpful. Yeah. Bob has asked me a question here. Paul, after hearing Ben's experience, are you going to give it a try? If I was ever in Europe at that time, because obviously I live in Geraldton, so to get to France is a bit of a trip. there are a few people from Australia that go there. It's a bit of a bucket list thing, and I'd love to go, but I haven't got any plans in the near future. Yeah, maybe next year.
Maybe we'll
or the
get
year
you
after.
over. Let you come over, stay at mine, and we'll
Yeah.
drive up.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I actually haven't got. Well, the other thing too is the gear, because I only have wave gear, so I'd have to borrow some gear.
Seriously, borrowing
I'll get
gear
your
is not a
fastest
problem.
board, Benny.
I'll lend you my board.
Yeah, cool. No, I'd love to. I'm gonna have to start hitting in the gym. Yeah, I want your fastest board, Benny. As long as I beat you, I'll be happy. So yeah, and what's the because I've seen on social media there's been like that, so they held the wing version of the event, right? So that they were able to do that.
It's windy. Yeah.
So they kind of completed that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So out of the 3 disciplines, the wingers actually kind of got the luck of the draw.
Yes, it's a shame because they're getting a bit of a limelight at the moment, and now they've got the wind here.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you actually, because what's the vibe at the event with winging now that it's sort of up and coming amongst it all? What's, could you get a sense of that?
Well, let's be honest. Like, we turned up and it's the wing event, so there was wings everywhere, which felt wrong. But no, I'm only kidding. It's like I said, it's an add-on to windsurfing. We are going to lose windsurfers to winging for sure, but I still believe they will also come back, and it's healthy for water sports. But yeah, the windsurfing is still the much bigger event. It's well and truly but you can see already, I think they had 500 wingers or 400 wingers or something like that. There's quite a few.
Yeah, I think I heard 400. I heard.
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah. It's not, but again, it's not the same as the windsurfing. I don't think I think this will always be a windsurfing event. And that's why I think that's why it's good to support these type of events, especially. It's so cool. Like I said to you, is it fun doing it? Well, it is for some people, and it depends on how much of a mission you're on. If you're just cruising, obviously you're not in pain. If you're pushing to your limits, it's a hard go, especially if you're not fully fit and you're pushing because, your brain is like, I don't want that guy to beat me, or I don't want this guy to beat me. But your body's like, I don't even care about beating anyone right now. Just get me back home safe. It's like, you're like fighting these, and that's my problem. I've still got this competitive mindset. Everyone wants to beat me because it's me and I've got a camera, and especially the sort of middle pack guys or the up and comers, the up and comers who are like the young kids. I had a couple of them last night when I was having a beer. They weren't having beers, but they were like, I got you, it's like, you can't escape it. It's so funny. It's so funny. But yeah.
This whole event's just going to turn into you just beating Benny.
But it was like that last time.
I could see an event.
It's like literally, it's like this target.
Oh,
it's just. We should get a helmet with a target.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
But someone said here.
I was also slightly concerned.
Where is it? Say it's better with mates, and I totally agree. You come here with a group of you. It's so cool because you think you wouldn't see. The funny thing is, I guess it's like being at a festival when you all lose each other at one point, and then you suddenly see them and you're like, hey, there he is. And it's a bit like that in the race. You're like, you don't know where everyone is. You're racing, and then suddenly you start seeing all the people you know. It's so funny.
I was also slightly concerned by some of the social media posts I saw from our podcast guest, Guy Cribb. I've actually brought his, hold on a second. I don't know if you saw this. This was highly disturbing, so apologies to everybody for this, but I'll have to show it.
Fins! I gotta admit, I saw that. I heard that last night. Someone was saying I'm allergic to fins.
Oh wait, I can add here. Look, fin, fun,
Fin for fun.
fin, fun, true.
Because that's not a brand. Fun and function.
Fun boarding.
Function.
That used to be F2, fun and
Really? Actually, okay, this is a creative guy. What's the downside of being creative? Because you're always coming out new.
Oops. I stopped that because it was just the first part of the video. It was the guy grip riding allergic to fins on his helmet, which I was like, what has happened, guy?
The thing is, Bowles is definitely not allergic to fins. That's the thing. Bowles is like, we were sitting there last night. He's just on this wing, and all he was looking at was the freestylers out there going, oh, I need to go, go windsurfing. So, I still stick by what I said. Foiling's great. I think the racing's been great. I think there's definitely a good place for it, but you will never replace that feeling of being on a fin. It's just, I'm sorry. I like foiling, but if I have to choose, I'm not choosing foiling over fin. Everyone's got their own little things. And I said that's the same for winging. Some people are getting into winging. I know a lot of friends who have got into winging and have stopped already. They're like, they're kind of novelty worn off for them, which is quite interesting. But then people are pushing on and going down that route. Guy is like massive, like advocate of winging. Like he is probably the biggest wing ambassador I think I've ever met. The guy's not been on a bit now, and he is like he's like a little kid. You see the energy he's got. I mean, that's got to be a good advert for winging, as far as I can see, or not. Who knows? I'm not sure about that earring he's got, though.
Well, it's obviously... well, obviously, it is a bit of flavour of the month at the moment. What about the kiting? Is those numbers, are they stable? Now that winging has up and coming, have you noticed anything there at the event?
I haven't. I don't really. The kiting event here is not such a big deal, and I think one of the reasons is the mass start for kiting is not as interesting because you've got long lines and like the mass start for winging looks pretty cool. Mass start for windsurfing looks amazing. And I think it looks even more amazing weirdly for windsurfing because we've got the trail. You've got all the wake, whereas on a foil you get this very clean, non-visually, they're going so quick, but visually they haven't got that wake. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love that aspect.
The sail doesn't move because it's not going over chop, and there's a few things. But again, it's like I say, it's happening. Whatever's happening, the top guys were, Nico Goya won that practice race by a good way, and he was on a foil. He's absolutely flying, flying.
Yeah, well, he has often done well at that event, hasn't he? Bob's asking a question here, Benny. For people coming from other countries, are there accommodations close by that would suit non-sailing wives?
Yes.
And are there any boards for hire, as airlines are making flying with boards hard?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I always thought there should be a massive rental thing here where, because it would make sense. I think there would be a lot of people who would love to just turn up, get given some gear and just crack on and have a go at it. And there's quite a few brands here which are doing demos and you get to try the gear. I don't know how about that would work with renting, but in terms of accommodation, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see. I don't know how much you're going to see, but
looks like a nice place you're in.
Oh, look at this! Look at this!
Wow,
it's pretty. It's funky. Look, can you see out there?
Pretty stylish. Yeah.
So there's houses.
Nice weather.
They're all like beach houses. There's loads of them. Loads of holiday beach places. But like I said, what I wanted to do with this live, if I can get the phone up, I wanted to take you from our apartment here and kind of walk you down to the beach just to give you an idea of the whole place. I don't know how many people know how the whole place is. Obviously, if you've been here before, you would. But for people who haven't been here, just to give you an idea, because the car park this year, it's insane. There's so many people because you've got the wingers and the windsurfers. You've got to be here a couple of days early to get your van parked. Luckily, there's a pro sailor parking which I've managed to sneak into, so I was actually okay. But if you turn up in a big van late, good luck. It's all the little streets here are full of cars, and there is a big car park on the beach, and then there's the village, the windsurfing, winging, whatever you want to call it, with all the brands showing off all their gear. There's this little village, and then I think it's way cooler this year the way they've got the setup. So the restaurant, which is called, I think, the Paparazzi or whatever it's called, that's got a bigger sort of opening now, and there's a few little cafes and there's a load of food trucks and stuff. But it's I would say, again, it depends on the weather, because when you've got the Tramontana blowing, it's pretty brutally windy. You know, like, you know, for the non-windsurfer, it's pretty windy. But then in the village and in the cafes and stuff, it's fine. Obviously here it's fine, but it's a different place. Like today we've got no wind, the sun's out, and it's, you know, it's lovely. I shouldn't say I'm enjoying it more, because I like to go windsurfing, but you know, it is quite nice to not be blown out of your shoes.
Well, on the plus side, you'll have plenty of time to, I guess, walk around that event site and speak to people in the industry and people at the event. I think that's always that's really well
cool.
received.
That's going to be the idea. Like I said, I want to kind of talk to as many sort of normal windsurfers, if that's the right word, just guys that have turned up, because there's quite a few different stories. It's not always easy to get it out of them, because I'm terrible with languages. So if they don't speak English, it's like, and even if they speak English, understanding me at full speed, sometimes I forget, and it's not an easy conversation. But I'm sure we'll have some awkward foreign English conversations going on. Like I said, the vans, I'm kind of excited to see some cool vans. So if you are listening to this, or you've got friends that are there with cool vans, honestly, get in touch, because we're going to do some quick van tours. And like I said, we'll spread them out over the year. And then obviously we're going to go around all the equipment tents. So it's like North Sails have got that kind of strange air cam system and all this new stuff going on. I think it would be quite cool to. I spoke to Peter Beale, who's one of the main developers, on the beach yesterday, and he's said they've got it all set up. So we're going to speak to them. Obviously Patrick is here. I mean, all the top brands are here. Neil Pride, JP, everyone. There's a few winging brands. Do I talk to them, or do I just ignore them? What's the crack there?
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's other people not as interested as I am, but I am kind of curious to see what's going on with the different industries, because obviously you do hear people say that things are a little bit slow, but I'm assuming, well, for kiting and windsurfing and winging is the new thing coming up. But I'm actually really curious over the next few years how all this is going to play out, because it's kind of interesting times, isn't it? We've never had really 3 competing wind sports like this at the moment.
What I will say
that's going to go
is, there'll be certain aspects, disciplines of windsurfing which will take a big hit. I would say freestyle would be one of them, because the theory is there, like the kids coming up, are they getting into windsurf freestyle? I would say they might be edging towards winging. I just think, unless they've got a very strong family background or someone that's pushing them into the windsurfing, I think the natural one for freestyle type kids could be the winging. So that might take a hit, because that's hard anyway. The guys are so good at freestyle, like to get to that level, whereas the level in winging is still progressing and early. So you're seeing 12, you can just see the young kids, 12, 13 years old. I was speaking to Biles yesterday, and he said those kids are just going mental. He says, I am like the daddy. I'm like, well, he is the daddy, but he's like the old guy of the discipline. He's like, oh, look at this old guy, Biles Muller, and he's like, what, 30 or something? So it's like, the kids. He said the kids are coming, and I think there was a 12 or 13-year-old kid who was like second to the racing mark. This is a kid. Like, how is he up there in the racing? So they're like, super long lines stretched out. It's like it's changing so quick. They've got like new wings with like a separate foil thing, so it creates a more like a cambered sail, so they're more aerodynamic rather than just a big bulbous thing. They've kind of sloped in. So there's few things going on. It's just changing all the time. So it's like I say, it's all connected, because a lot of the brands that are windsurfing brands are obviously got quite big connections with the winging stuff. But what I've also noticed, like let's say back in Sagres, like Portugal, where I'm living, I've got different friend circles. We've got the baby friend circle, the whatever circle, and I'm having now people asking me, oh yeah, I think I'm getting into this winging, and they just surf already, and they're like seeing winging as, they've never asked about windsurfing, but they're talking about getting into winging. So there is definitely a connection to surfers, which again, it's going to get people more into wind sports, and that I believe can't be terrible for windsurfing. as a whole. People might see it as that, maybe, I don't know, but I think not everyone wants to go foiling, you know.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So it's yeah, big thanks for doing the rounds and telling us what's going on.
Yeah, well, are we going down to the beach?
I thought there's also a comment here. I just go back up, which I thought was interesting. Sharewaves.tv said, greetings from Fairmont, where the surf festival has also no wind.
I mean, 2 big events.
No wind there either. So
yeah,
I didn't realize. Yeah, so that's the big German event, isn't it? Yeah, cool. I'd heard about that. I heard that was a really good event as well. So, and Billy is just saying, what is affecting us in the UK is El Nino year, meaning less wind and unconventional weather patterns. So yeah, this is encourage light wind alternative sports like winging. So
yeah,
very good points, Billy. Do you want? We said that we wouldn't go for hours because obviously we don't have much content from the event. But I thought before we we sign off today, I thought I'd just mention if any of you guys out there had heard about that windsurfer down at Esperance who got attacked. His sail got attacked by a shark, and we've contacted him. His name's James, and hopefully we'll have a podcast with him next week where he can tell us the story. But I thought I'd just mention it because it just happened a couple of days ago, and I've actually just got a 2-minute little video here where he's been interviewed by the local news channel. I thought that was quite an interesting little story. I'll just bring it up here. Where we got it. Here it is. Just bear with me.
So windsurfing, and I've fallen in the water. I've looked down and there's a great white sucking my windsurf sail, and then got on my board really quickly. And I sort of thought that would be the end of it, but it circled me for about 5 minutes, where from, say, 5 to 10 meters away to more or less where I could touch it. And everyone had sort of told me about, punching a shark but there wasn't any punching this shark. It was sort of just knew what it wanted. I was slapping the water as hard as I could. I thought, yeah, it was just right on me for 5 minutes. And then finally I've drifted down into where these kite surfers were. And I've sort of got the attention of one of them. And he's told me, just paddle in. And I'm like, no, I'm not paddling in anywhere. And then eventually I copped a head on the head and got pushed into shore. And only then it was sort of, I didn't see the shark, and I quickly got up on my windsurf sail, but I only had, and I was a bit worried I wouldn't be able to sail in, but yeah, managed to get in away. So with all my fingers and toes, so I was pretty happy, to have an interaction with a shark, apex predator of the sea, and be able to walk away unscathed. Like, of course I'm going to be stoked, right? And I was able to go back to my for some, I haven't had such a positive experience and haven't been able to go back to their family. So definitely, I want to show some respect. Don't mean to be disrespectful at all.
And will you be going out in the waves again?
Yeah, I've got my gear in the car. I'm just not sure if I've got the right sail for tail down, but yeah, I mean, maybe I'll pay a bit more attention to the sharks smart app or whatever, but realistically, it's that even with something like that, you just never know. Yeah, it's just part of the game you play. Really, you're out there sharing it with other things.
It's breaking up a bit.
So he lived to tell the tale.
It's my signal.
What's it?
Yeah,
okay. Hopefully everyone could have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, the mad thing is, half price or pricey, which is James there. I've stayed with him a few times. We stayed with him in Tenerife. Alfie, cameraman, he was living in South Wales, so people might know him from being around there. But apparently the year he stayed in South Wales when he was there, it was like the worst year for wind ever. So he's known as the Jinx. and they don't want him ever back in the
Oh,
surf.
I
So
see.
maybe that's now his new
no.
jinx is the bloody shark.
Bloody sharks. Wow.
That's mad,
Yeah, I
isn't it?
mean, we'll hear more from him hopefully next week. But I think it's every windsurfer's worst nightmare, isn't it? Having a great white sort of chomping on your gear.
It's ridiculous because you hear these
That's
stories
crazy.
of people
Yeah,
skiing sharks.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah. But that is like, you know, he's telling the truth. You just know pricey. But the mad thing is, like, when I was in Esperance the last time, which is down the south of Western Australia, I saw a shark every day. And I am not someone who sees sharks. You know, like there are these friends we've got, you know, we've all got them, who every time they go sailing, they see a shark in Cape Town. Or I'm always a bit suspicious. I've never seen any shark in Cape Town ever. I know they're there, but I've never seen one. So I'm not someone who's seeing them. I've never seen them anywhere else. Every day in Esperance, I saw a shark. And I was at a 4 mile, like the next spot up from there, but that is the same beach. And we were out there with Dieter van der Eycken, I think someone else, and a 5 meter great white went under Dieter. Like he came into me and he's like, that thing was massive.
Wow.
And then like that put me off a little bit. I mean, Esperance is sharky. I had one like at 9 Mile. There's another beach which is 9 miles from town called 9 Mile. They got cool names for beaches there. 4 Mile, 9 Mile. At 9 Mile, which is like the down the line spot, I was like my first ever session there. I was sailing out and I was like, what the hell's that? So I looked down to my left and there's a shark, not a big shark, just swimming next to me, just next to me. I was like, what the fuck is this? It's just literally, and it's just, you know, the way the sharks move when you see them from the top, they just do this. And he was just cruising, but it was like smaller than my board. So it was only a small shark, but still it was like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot. And the water down in Esperance is so clear. It's like in a swimming pool. So you cannot like avoid them. Yeah. Mad, pretty mad. But anyway.
Yeah, no, look, it's known for sharks down there. But anyway, glad to hear that James is all right and can live to tell the tale. Said we would wrap it up a bit, but there's just a few comments here, so I might as well get onto them. Bob's asking, how much wind do you need for the Defi to run?
Yeah, it's usually 20 knots, but now the introduction of foils into the windsurfing category, I think they would probably do it in less. But usually it used to be 20 knots because it was kind of meant, it's a windy place. So if the Tramontana's blowing, which is that windy wind, it's usually on because that's a pretty strong wind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool. And we have Nike my one. You're supposed to promote windsurfing. Why the negative comments? I don't see wingers talking about windsurfing. Have we been harsh?
Bal's mother is always talking about windsurfing. So, you know, like, just to answer that, I mean, we're not just going to ignore it. Like, it's there. Like, I'm big enough. It's like, you know, that's what happens in life. You can't just ignore things and hope they go away. I think you've got to understand them, understand what is going. Like, I'm one of the biggest promoter of windsurfing everywhere, but I'm just telling you the facts. That's the facts. Like, whether you like them, that's not my fault, but that's the facts. I'm not saying, and again, I am the one. If you look at my interviews yesterday, you will realize I'm not promoting winging. But I think, like I said, I think it's got its place. I think people like it as a light wind alternative as well. Some people don't like it in the strong wind, like they did with kiting. You know, some people like still to go windsurfing with 4-7 weather and below or something, and they wing in the light winds. Everyone's got their own things.
I think, I just think it's interesting because there obviously are a lot of windsurfers that wing as well. So there's a bit of crossover going on. So
you got to do
why we just talk about it a bit. It's just something that's come up in the last few years. So it's kind of just another sort of talking point. But
it's very similar to windsurfing.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
look, if it takes a few
foot straps, you know, you're just not quite connected, but it's pretty bloody similar.
Yeah, and look, if we lose a few kiters to wingers, great. That's what we want. So I'm about to get a comment saying I'll be negative to kiters now, but Tim Timoney is saying any results in guide crib in the mix. Well, as you're probably about to say, Benny, there was no actual event.
Well,
no wind,
in the
right?
windsurfing, no, but if he's talking about Guy was actually entered into the winging.
Oh, sorry, of course.
It's just, it's like, I know I shouldn't be like this, but it is kind of distressing to me when I do see this promoter of Guy Crib just full wing. It is upsetting. But then I did see his little pinky and his earring, and I'm like, well, you know, something's obviously. If you've seen the
scarf, there was a scarf as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. But Guy Crib's always been eccentric. I've talked about his house before when we were on the podcast. You know, Guy is Guy. That's the classic.
Yeah, look, just let him have his fun for a few years, Benny. He'll be back.
We'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
Right,
I gotta go because I gotta get on the beach. We got this opening ceremony. Stay tuned to the channel. We're gonna do a live walk around at some point. We're gonna have videos coming out from the Defi, and there's a load of influencers, if that's what you want to call them here. You know, Nico Preen's here with about 70 odd people doing the Defi Wind experience. I mean, that guy is doing he's got his finger in so many different pies. What is he? The president of the PWA. He's got his clinics, got his he's shop. Oh, I can't keep up. He's the man on a mission, that guy. And he absolutely, like I told you earlier, he torched me yesterday. Like, he went past me like I was standing still. I was like, so he's been down the gym a little bit. I'm not sure if it was a coincidence that he was next to me. He probably wanted to get it on video. Just right.
Cool.
Yes,
all right. Good on you, Benny. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to your updates from the Defi Wind, Benny, and good luck to Alfie. And thanks for joining in the show. See you guys next time. Bye.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.